Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Painless Universal, a conversation with myself and Welsh. I'll be looking at diabetes, a chronic illness affecting so many. The world is overwhelmed by the number of people who are suffering from diabetes. There are two kinds of diabetes. There's the type 1, which is the unpreventable autoimmune disease that usually develops in childhood. There's also type 2 diabetes caused by poor diet. Diabetes causes a lot of challenges for people who are born or who are living with it, who have been recently diagnosed with diabetes. They ranges from unemployment problems, benefit problems. But the key thing here is we need to understand the tips and advices on how to diagnose the issue, because that's so key. People are living with this daily. They're born with it, but they still don't know how to live with it, how to go about their daily lives with diabetes. Especially now with the coronavirus. We're stuck at home, possibility of a second wave, total lockdown. If that happens, how do you manage? How do you get on with your life and still stay healthy to overcome the challenges the disease brings? Today's guest is Kalex. I'll be talking to Kalex to better understand the issue of diabetes. He's been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Who is Kalex? Kalex is a radio presenter who lives in London, United Kingdom. He was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 2016, and he's been using his skills as a presenter, broadcaster, and a content creator to spread diabetes awareness to better the knowledge and perception of those with and without diabetes. Meets Kalex. Hello everyone, welcome to Painless Universal, conversation with myself and Welsh. As you always know, today we'll be talking about a chronic illness pain. I've got the amazing Kalex here with me to talk about diabetes pain. Kalex, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm
You know, I was really amazed when I saw your Instagram page. I was really touched by it because you just don't talk about diabetes, but you talk about issues related to diabetes. Like you really talk about how people should help themselves when they're going through that kind of challenge. But anyway, before I dive into the diabetes, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are? Who is Kalex?
Day to day, I'm a radio presenter / radio broadcaster. So I have a morning show weekdays. I do breakfast, so 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. So the morning drive, waking everyone up, getting them to work, getting them through the school run. And then outside of that, my main thing is I like producing content. It's like audio content, video content, entertainment, comedy stuff. Just like producing content. I like just having ideas in my head and just like finding a way to like put it on paper or put it into visuals to like share with the world. So I guess media and entertainment is kind of like the world I'm stuck in, that I enjoy doing stuff like that. That's kind of been in a nutshell. The media, I just love creating stuff. And I love seeing people's reactions, whether it's good or bad. I just love seeing people's reactions to what I've created. And I think that the time we're living in right now, a lot of people are becoming quote unquote bedroom stars. Like they're thinking of ideas in their bedrooms, putting it out into the universe, and then they're getting Netflix deals and opportunities through something they've done. But back in the day, you probably had to go to acting school or know this person or that person, where nowadays, if you've got an idea and you've got the space and the drive and the imagination, you can literally just be in your room, setting things up, launch it on like a YouTube, and then become a global star from your home. And I'm kind of inspired by those kind of stories. Okay, it lets me know that, okay, I don't need big budgets or to know this person or that person. As long as you've got a creative mind and you can figure out a way to produce your imagination into content, then you can always find an audience that will appreciate your work. And so that's my whole thing. I just love producing content. So like, not to dive in this straight away, but sort of like the diabetes page is another outlet for me to sort of like produce content, and more so original content, you know, not just like a lot of pages are just like, you know, copying memes and copying pictures from everywhere. My whole thing is I like to produce original content that I thought about, that's kind of different to what everyone else is kind of doing. So that's kind of what I do, pretty much.
I think that's very exciting, because I think with today's world, with everything going on, with so much pain and especially with illnesses, chronic illness, people are very, you know, we want to talk about it, but we're not quite sure what direction do we go to, and it's especially direction to seek help. But you've taken on that narrative of supplying contents to help people. When were you first diagnosed with type 1 diabetes? And if you tell us a little bit about diabetes for those who don't know much about it.
Yeah, so diabetes is basically, I think it's classed under an autoimmune disease, where basically your white blood cells attack itself, attacks your own body. So the white blood cells attacks the beta cells in the pancreas. They don't know why yet, so they're still doing research, but your white blood cells attacks your pancreas, your beta cells, and it damages the cell that produce insulin. That's what basically diabetes is. Your body can't produce any or enough insulin because your body has attacked itself. So I was diagnosed with diabetes in January 2016. So the symptoms I was getting was, I think my eyesight was getting blurry as well. I think the main symptom was I was going to the toilet like a lot. Now, when I say a lot, I don't exaggerate. Like, I mean, I wasn't getting any sleep because I would be getting up to go to the toilet at least 20 times during the night. When I'm at work, within an hour, I'll be going to the toilet at least 10 times back and forth. And looking back at that, after being diagnosed, it sounds weird. Who goes to the toilet that often? Mm-hmm. But during while it was happening, because of like, I was so ignorant to diabetes, did nothing about it. I just didn't think anything was wrong. I thought, okay, I'm going to the toilet quite often. That's just how life is right now. Maybe, because with diabetes, what happens is when your blood sugars are so high, your body tries to get rid of it through your urine. So it causes your body to be dramatically thirsty. So I was thirsty all the time. So I was drinking a lot of water, hence going to the toilet a lot. So that's what I thought the cycle was. I'm going to the toilet a lot because I'm drinking a lot of water.
Yeah.
I didn't really like think in my head, like, why am I so thirsty all the time? And stuff like that. It's not until I would never have gone to the doctors myself, gone to the GP and thought anything was wrong. It's not until a colleague who was an ex-pharmacist who noticed me one day constantly going back and forth to the toilet, said to me, I think you might want to get checked, you might be diabetic. And again, like, due to my ignorance, I'm thinking at the time I was 23 at the time, so young, thinking 20 diabetes, it's an old person disease. Like, I'm 23 years old. I'm not quote unquote fat, I'm not overweight, I'm not eating badly. Can't be diabetes. But it was the only, again, him being an ex-pharmacist, I thought, okay, let me just go and get checked just to rule it out. So when I got checked, and yeah, it turns out I was diabetic. So again, if I didn't know, I didn't I guess subscribe my symptoms to diabetes, because I knew what diabetes was roughly, like in like TV programs and stuff like that, but I didn't actually know what it was and what the symptoms was. So if my work colleague hadn't seen me going to the toilet so often, who knows how long it would have been until I got diagnosed. So lucky for him, it happened pretty early into my symptoms, where other people are not so lucky. They go maybe weeks and months, maybe years with these symptoms. And then when they finally get diagnosed, they have poor eyesight due to it, or they have to lose a liver or whatever it is because they've had it for so long and it's been undiagnosed. So I'm one of the lucky ones, really. And it's kind of why I set up my diabetes page on Instagram, because especially in the Black community, we know the word diabetes and we know the kind of like generalization of like, yeah, too much sugar, but we don't actually know what diabetes is. And like the natural assumption is old people get diabetes and you're not young with diabetes. I never met anyone young with diabetes before. It's only the elder generation that I met with diabetes. So spreading awareness with diabetes is super important because people still think that diabetes is just if you eat too much sugar, eat poorly, you get it. But I was fine. I was fit. I was healthy. I was in the gym. And I guess being in the gym kind of saved my life because exercise is a good way to lower your sugar levels. So I was in the gym lowering my sugar levels, not knowing they had to be lowered, you know? So I was accidentally saved my own life by being in the gym. But it just shows that you can live a happy, active lifestyle, eat healthily, and still one day wake up with diabetes. And not many people know that. So my kind of like aim is to kind of help spread awareness so that, you know, maybe you don't get diabetes, but you might be the work colleague that sees someone going to the toilet often and notices the symptoms and save their life, you know? So if it's not your own life you save, could be a friend, family, a colleague. So yeah, I think diabetes awareness is something that I'm heavily trying to like push. So I'm trying to use my experiences with diabetes to kind of like show people that what the symptoms are and that you can still live with it. Like diabetes nowadays is not a death sentence. You can have diabetes and live great lives and not even die from it. Die by other causes. It's not a death sentence. Just like nowadays having HIV is not a death sentence. There's medication for it to suppress it and stuff like that.
No,
but again, you know, in the especially in the Black community, these things are not known at all.
Yeah.
And just from my experience with friends and family, it shows me, okay, if my friends and family are so ignorant as I am, who else in the world may not know enough about diabetes? That's kind of like my goal right now, just help to spread awareness about diabetes.
And when you say you have diabetes, you know, there are two kinds. There's type 1 diabetes and type 2. So, and type 2 is really to do with your diets, how one have been eating over the years. And type 1 is really you're born with it, almost like you're born with it. It's not much, nothing you did wrong or right caused that diabetes. In your case, which one do you have?
Yeah, so I have type 1. So I'm normally you're born with type 1 diabetes or you get it from young. So me getting it into my adult life was kind of abnormal. But I had diabetes, so I've got diabetes in my adult life. Type 1, which means my body doesn't produce any insulin. So I've got to take my own insulin. And type 2 is a more diet controlled. Type 2 is more on the case where your body doesn't produce enough insulin. So you got to take maybe the extra dose of insulin, or if you control your diet and stop eating carbs, then the little insulin your body does produce, it can manage the sugar level because you're not eating as many carbs that convert into sugars. But you know, the perception of type 1 and type 2 is like people think that, oh, if I'm going to get diabetes, I'd rather be a type 2. There is no good diabetes. Type 1 or type 2, they both can be as dangerous as each other if you don't know how to treat them properly, you know? So yeah, I got type 1, but yeah, you can get type 2, which is more diet controlled, but either one should be taken as serious as each other. It's very dangerous to make any distinction and think that someone's got a quote unquote good or better diabetes, you know?
Kalex, one of the key things that really fascinates me with diabetes, because I know a lot of people about who's had diabetes, but you know, you really shine some light, which I've never really thought about, you know, the symptoms, which are the key things that people need to know. In your experience, right, you had type 1 very later on in life. What was the initial reaction for you when you got that news that you have type 1 diabetes? And how did you manage that pain?
My first initial reaction was it was shock because again, I was healthy. Even the doctors, well, I say healthy, I felt healthy. The doctors were themselves shocked because my sugar levels when I got diagnosed were 3 times the normal. So I think, so between 4 and 8 is normal. I was diagnosed at 33. So 3-4 times the normal sugar levels. And the doctors told me that with someone with sugar levels as high as you, I should have no energy. I should be crawling on the floor with no energy. But I was fine, going to the gym, walking around, like perfectly fine. The only symptoms I had was going to the toilet a lot. So my initial reaction was kind of shock that one, that I had diabetes at such a young adult healthy age, but also 2, that my diagnosis is even shocking the doctors. The doctors don't understand why I'm still walking around, because I got diagnosed, I got diagnosed on a Friday, and then they told me, okay, if you feel, come back on the Monday. If you feel ill over the weekend, and come back in. If not, wait till the Monday. Came back on the Monday now, felt fine over the weekend, before I've been given any medication. Got tested again, still had high sugar levels, but I got seen by a different doctor than the one on the Friday, on the Monday. And the one on the doctor on the Monday told me that doctor on the Friday shouldn't have sent me home. Because my sugar level was so high, I shouldn't have gone home for the weekend, especially without the medication. But the reason why the doctor done that, because whereas like I appeared so normal, you thought, it's fine, you can wait 3-4 more days, come back on a Monday. But my blood sugar level was so high that I should have been admitted to the hospital there and then to be kept over the weekend. So again, it was still like an initial shock, like, how am I moving about so fine, but at the same time being told I'm so ill?
Yeah.
You know, it didn't make any sense to me. So how I kind of dealt with it was kind of like, I think that was kind of like a yin and a yang. It helped me deal with it, because if, okay, if not being diagnosed and not being having any medication, and my body is kind of handling it well right now, then once I get diagnosed and get medication, then my body should still fight it better. So that kind of gave me hope that, okay, like, I can live with the disease. I can fight this disease and not let it control me, because it hasn't controlled me so far. Yeah, it's made me go to the toilet so often, but I don't feel weak. I haven't been feeling sick, haven't been vomiting or anything like that. I'm still living, quote unquote, a normal life. So I guess just feeling fine throughout the whole process of being diagnosed kind of made it easier. And it kind of shows people that it can be managed. Maybe 23 years ago, some of my position might have a worse time, but nowadays, again, it's not a death sentence, and you can live with it. So once I figured out, okay, it's something I can live with and I can control, then it kind of makes things easier. And if you're like, you know, it gives you a sense of like positivity, and like it encourages you to keep going, because you know, it's not the end of the world if you know what you're doing. So once I got diagnosed and I was kind of forced to increase my knowledge on diabetes, then I realized, okay, this is something that I've got now, but, you know, it's not the end of the world. The more I learn about it, and the more I kind of, you know, make it mine. Like, I didn't let the diabetes kind of control me. I kind of very instantly control the diabetes. So I increased my gym time straight away. Okay, no more quote unquote bad foods. I'm gonna be more conscious about what I eat and what I do, and the environments I'm around. So I kind of like took it by the horn, and kind of like didn't allow it to control me, because it hadn't made me majorly sick yet. So I wasn't going to allow it to now or in the future. So yeah, kind of gave me hope.
You know, we're living in COVID-19 times, and people with chronic illness such as diabetes are going through a hard time because, not quite sure, even exercising. Normally people go to the gym, especially when during the lockdown when the gym was shut. And
Yeah,
also when you're bored and you're lonely or you're at home, you tend to form bad eating habits. Your routine tend to change because
yeah,
you're lonely and you're bored. In your everything you do, one of the things I do notice about you is that you're very, very, very particular about your fitness. It's not something you play around with. You're very strict about the way you eat and the way you exercise. What would be
yeah.
your tips and advice for someone with type 1 diabetes going through, or even type 2, going through this if there is a second wave, for example, that has
Yeah.
to go through? What would be your tip to them to help them, to encourage them during this difficult time?
To make good use of technology, if you've got a laptop, you've got a phone, you've got a tablet, there are loads of YouTubers and fitness instructors that are online, even through Instagram, doing home workouts, Instagram workouts, daily workouts, that you can do stuff inside your home with limited space. So I guess my advice would be, we do go to a second wave and we're back at home again. You don't need big, massive, or a lot of gym equipment to stay active. Even simple as like resistant bands or use your own body weight and stuff like that. Even simple as half an hour walk a day. Makes a big difference in lowering your sugars and keeping active and staying active. Like once it's like fitness is kind of like a when you're not doing it, it's hard to get into it. Once you're doing it, it becomes a habit so quickly to where you can't go to sleep if you haven't done your fitness for the day. You're not able to cope if you haven't gone for your half an hour walk, and that's kind of what it is for me. It's like if I'm not in the gym 3-4 days a week, I notice, and I have to like find a way to get to the gym. And it's all about just keeping the cycle going. Once you start eating healthily, exercising, and consciously thinking about how you're managing your body, it quickly becomes a habit to where you don't miss takeaways, you don't miss the bad foods, you don't want to just be indoors sitting around. You want to get some fresh air and sit down. You want to do your home workouts. And right now, especially with COVID, it is very important to make good use of all the technology you have around you. So your phones. I remember as soon as we got into lockdown, a lot of personal trainers was on IG Live doing home workouts. So it's easy. You just set your phone up and then you dance or you jog or you work out alongside with them, or even YouTube. There's loads of new and old. During lockdown, I was doing, I don't remember the old Billy Banks Tybo workouts. I don't remember from ages ago. So I was doing that. So yeah, the internet is full of things you can do from your home. So my advice would be use technology to the best of your advantage, and even just like following someone that's keeping fit, following diet pages and stuff like, or following people that kind of inspire you and keep you going to keep fit. With a lot of negativity that is online, it's better to just like block it all out and follow people that actually motivate you to be the better person that you want to be, which is kind of what I try and make my page to be. Is like, if I can be one person, sort of like, okay, when I see this person's page, he keeps going, he keeps active, that's gonna motivate me to keep active. But I do get some DMs here and there, like, yeah, my son who's diabetic follows your page and sees how you're blah, 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 or how you make jokes and fun about diabetes, lets my son know that it doesn't got to be serious all the time, and stuff like that. So any change and help that I can do through technology and through Instagram and through social media, I try to help. So I advise people to use the same technology to help better your life and keep fit, especially in times where you're stuck indoors, can't see anyone. The only people you can see is through social media. Use it to your advantage to stay connected, but also stay active in your life.
Yeah, another thing, well, I was reading about diabetes on the internet, and one of the key findings we found is about the lifespan of people with diabetes. They say
Yeah,
people with diabetes tend, especially Brits with diabetes, type 1, for example, they die nearly 8 years earlier than people with,
yeah.
normal. And in your view, is that a concern to you, or is that a concern to you because obviously you have type 1, or are you just saying you have to just live your best life and doing things the right way? How do you take things like this?
Yeah, I kind of don't pay much attention to things like that. Of course, being diabetic,
Mm.
it puts me at greater risk of certain things, of course, especially like if, COVID, but also with the flu. If I catch the flu, it's more dangerous to me than someone that's got diabetes. And I've been diabetic and I've caught the flu. And if I can compare it to catching the flu now as an adult diabetic to when I caught the flu when I wasn't diabetic, I haven't really noticed a change in how my body kind of copes with it, really. Maybe it's just now, maybe as I get later on in life, as I get older, it may become more difficult. But that's like anyone. As you get older in life, your body gets weaker, so it takes longer, it's hard to fight off diseases. So I kind of don't pay attention to, your lifespan is 8 years. It's probably true, but it's, you know, it's not a predictor of how I'm going to lose my life or what's going to finally be the thing. It might not be diabetes, how I head out. I see those things as no different as, people that don't wear seatbelts in a car are more likely gonna die in an accident. But there's been times when people haven't worn seatbelts and they've walked off without a scratch, and those have worn seatbelts lose their life. So, to kind of live your life based on statistics is, I wouldn't advise to live that life. Basically.
No, I love that.
So I may pay attention to it. Like, okay, people with diabetes are greater risk at complications if they catch COVID. Okay, noted. So it means I've got to make sure that I'm social distancing, washing my hands, and what have you. But in terms of like the numbers, I think once you fall down that rabbit hole, it's very hard to pull yourself out of it when you base your personal life experiences on big numbers and data. So I don't pay attention to it. I didn't know that until you told me. So,
No, absolutely. I'm so glad you said that, because I have a chronic illness myself. So people always said, people with sickle cell anemia would die by the time they're 40 or 42. They're like, but you know what? You just said it. So it's your mindset as well, because you just have to keep living day by day. Well, I have the motto is one day at a time, and just see where life takes you. No one could predict when anyone is going to go, and you just have to live because when you limit yourself, you start to find challenges. Oh, I can't do this because I might not. I try to block that out. A final question of hope is, with diabetes, there's still lots of technologies, lots of research going into it, but there's still such a gap, especially in the Black community, of that understanding of what is truly diabetes. You've seen a lot of our diets. Our diet is not very, very friendly, and we're still not grasping the concept of that chronic illness, and we still don't believe that it could be us. In our final question, what would be your message of hope to people of our community, for them to better understand the seriousness of diabetes, and for them to start also making plans and making changes in their life, even if it's one step at a time? What would be your how you're the only one I could ask, because you're the one going through it. What would you?
I think I guess again, spreading awareness allows people to sort of have a think about their own life. So if I don't truly think Black people or the Black community knows how much the African and Caribbean diets, heavily seasoned, loads of salt, stuff like that, affects our lives. Where it becomes a norm and it's part of our culture, we kind of just let things be. If if Black people was actually told that, listen, you can enjoy the food from your country and such, but there needs to be some sort of like a conscious moderation of it, because you can have these problems later in life. And I think just having a conversation, because the Black community isn't an ignorant community. Like when especially when Black lives are in danger, we fix up, we pay attention. A good example is the current, like the Black Lives Movement things right now. Black lives are being taken in across the globe, and we're paying attention to it. So, but Black lives are also being taken by these diseases that they're not aware of, and they're not paying attention to. So I think if once the Black community is more of a, it becomes the norm to talk about these things, then I think that in itself will turn the wheels to solve the problem. That, okay, like, I need to be more conscious about the foods I cook, the foods I eat, my diet, exercise and stuff like that, because as a Black person, my lifestyle, my culture puts me more at risk to develop these things later in life. And the lack of awareness and lack of knowledge could cost myself or my friends, my family, or my children their lives later down the line. So from early young, I'm going to sort of make necessary steps to prevent that. And because of lack of knowledge and awareness in the Black community, we don't act until things happen. We're very sometimes reactive instead of proactive. And I feel like it's just down to ignorance, knowledge. I think that as Black people, we have so much things to worry about in terms of our lives, our jobs, racism, and social stuff, economic stuff, that we put our health on the back burner as like maybe the least important thing, especially when it comes to stuff like mental health. We put our own health on the back burner to sort of like solve the other problems that we're facing as Black people. Whereas our health, for me anyway, is got to be high in the list of the things you worry about, because you can solve all the problems in the world, but if you yourself are not healthy and you're dying off, then you haven't really solved any problems. No point, forcing your kids to go to university and college, forcing them to get this job and stuff like that, where they're not eating right and they develop these diseases. Their lifespan is not going to be a long one. So what you're working towards, you're never going to live out to see it. So I just feel like the conversation alone is, for the Black community anyway, the conversation alone is enough, I think, as a sort of like deterrent to a negative or unhealthy lifestyle. So what I try and do as a Black person is, with diabetes, is spread awareness, spread knowledge, and also kind of break down any fears and perceptions about it. Because even amongst my own friends and family, they still feel like some of them still feel like I have this like ticking time bomb that will eventually go off, and that'll be the end of me. So they're worried, they're scared to talk about diabetes because they're worried for me. But I encourage the conversation, because today I woke up diabetic, sorry, but tomorrow you might. And I was lucky enough to catch it. you could have it for a lot longer than I have and have a worse time with it and not be as lucky as I am. So I just feel like having the kind of maybe forcing the conversation. If you force the conversation, let people know that this is it, this is what happened, this is how you can prevent it. No one's going to move ignorantly against their own health. I just don't know Black people as a community to do anything that's once we figure out the problem as a community, we fight and we fix it. But it's not until we know that problem do we fix it. And we're late to finding that problem is why we go through issues. But the second we find there's a problem, we nip it in the bud and we fix it, because that's just who we are, man. Throughout the history, throughout the ages, just who we are. We work hard, we come together, we need to come together. But it's just the lack of knowledge which is kind of holding us back. And you see it across the board, not just in like beats and stuff, like in education system, in business. Not knowing something holds us back all the time. Yeah. And then the second we know and we're aware of it, then we do better. So maybe, not to dive into too much, maybe it's down to, the institution from when they used to withhold a lot of knowledge from Black people. It's still going on right now, possibly. But I just feel like there isn't enough awareness in the Black community in terms of health in general, not just diabetes, in terms of health, period. There's not enough. If you're walking fine and you're talking fine, then we're going to assume everyone's okay. Stop crying, stop moaning, get out into the world and just carry on. Don't cry about it, pray to God and move on,
That's true.
That's true. Yeah. But I feel like if we have a more rational approach to things, then we can solve our own issues a lot sooner before they become big problems. So knowledge is the biggest thing.
No, thank you so much, Kalex, because you really hit the nail on the head about the awareness with chronic illness, especially among our community, because still a lot needs to be done, because I think the more we know about it, the better it is. And it's, you solve the issue, and the sooner you find out, because I always, someone told me, and I'll never forget this, is that 99% of the problem is the diagnostic phase. 1% is the solving of this problem. But once you've diagnosed your issue, it's fine. Then you know what is your problem. And I think we need to get to that place where a lot of us know what the issue is, what it comes, because you could be, so many people are now living with type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes, and not knowing about it. Just going around life and saying it's just normal. But you've shed so much light on this today, and I really appreciate you taking the time out to speak to me about this crucial subject.
Thank you. Anytime.
I really appreciate it. It's such a crucial subject, and we can't ignore it. And especially now that we absolutely need to be fit, because I think they say if you're fitter, then you could even fight the virus even much better.
Yeah, of course, 100%.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
And I wish you well.
Anytime.
Stay well.
You too. Thank you so much.
Take care.